A herd of elephants wandering through the African bush. Adult females and their young calves, male as well as female. It is a scene that has graced these woodlands for more than 1 million years. And now, as then, something is happening within the herd. A young teenage male is becoming restless. He's been fighting and showing an awakening sexual interest in his sisters and female cousins. It is now time for him to be forced out of the female herd to fend for himself. For perhaps 15 years, he has enjoyed the close attention of his mother and other females. But now, he must cut the ties of his youth and set out into the empire alone. The females will continue without him. They form a close breeding group, and now that the young male is sexually mature, his presence among them is no longer required. Any mating between him and closely related females would weaken the gene pool of his extended family. He must leave and find other males who have been similarly banished. Males have been doing this for the 1 million or so years they have existed as modern elephants, once covering most of Africa. A natural decline, combined with human pressure and persecution, has seen their range significantly reduced in the past 5,000 years. One place where they are still flourishing is Botswana, in the south of the great African continent. Botswana is mostly flat tableland, averaging 1,000 meters above sea level, sparsely vegetated in the north with low bush, palms and woodland. Yearly extremes of wet and dry make it a harsh place for elephants. But Botswana's people have such a positive attitude towards their wildlife and habitats that elephants and other animals live here in relative safety. Even for elephants, wandering alone can be dangerous. They are vulnerable to attack from lions and hyenas who will take risks when smaller animals are not available. The dry season is particularly harsh. Food is scarce, and a weakened elephant is an easy target for a large pride of lions. As many as 1/3 of all elephants die during their first year of life, despite the protection of the female herd. But now, 15 years later, a young surviving male is all alone. He needs the company of older males. He will not find them by accident. He can smell them, but perhaps more importantly, he can communicate with them by sound over a distance of several kilometers. Low-frequency sounds that humans cannot hear, but which bind elephants to each other in a way that is beyond our understanding. Thus, drawn from the world of the female to the world of the male, the teenager begins the long journey to social maturity. He will encounter the most magnificent males, 30, 40, even 50 years older than him. Weighing over 6 tons, some of these will be twice the weight of the females who once defended him so fiercely. The young male's presence will not have gone unnoticed. A major function of male elephants is to provide sperm for females. They can do this from an early age, which is why they are expelled from their family groups. Now taking their places among other males as low-ranking juniors, it will be 20 years before they are able to compete successfully for females. There are no strong family ties between these individuals, as there are in the female herds of adult sisters, aunts, and cousins, which are all bound together by a common genetic interest. These unrelated bulls are pursuing personal strategies that will enable each of them to father as many baby elephants as possible over a 30-year period. Other male animals in their empire are trying to do just the same, but in their own different ways. Male lions will cooperate to take females by force. Seeking new mating opportunities, they will enter a pride's territory, drive out the resident males, and kill their cubs. They will replace these with their own and guard them against other males. In contrast, a male baboon may move around between established female troops and their young. During his temporary residence, he will father as many babies as he can, but as other males are also doing the same, none of them knows for certain which are their own offspring, a useful female ploy to get all big males to accept and defend all of the young in the troop. Impala. Males live in bachelor herds, but as the full moon at the end of the rainy season, about March in Botswana, triggers female ovulation, so the males are spurred into action with displays of strength. For 3 frantic weeks, the horned males compete for the best territories, fighting for, mating with, and then abandoning as many females as possible. A male lechwe in full flight to put rival males in their place. While their antelope relatives impala occupy dry land, lechwes love water. They mate at the beginning of the wet season rather than at the end of it, and their young are born in the middle of the dry season when the water is low. A good way to protect them from drowning, and also giving them dry grasses in which to hide from predators. For elephants, the mating game is very different. Males do not hold territories, and their breeding success is determined by size. Bigger is better, and as their bodies and tusks continue to grow throughout their lives, it is the oldest tuskers who get most of the matings. Males may gather in loose herds of all ages, so there is a constant jockeying between them to assess each other's size, height, and tusk length. Here, a younger male, on the left, defers to a senior bull by placing his trunk in the other's mouth. It is a non-aggressive gesture, a kind of information exchange in which one is reassuring the other that he is not looking for trouble. A flock of knob-billed geese settles onto a small lagoon where male elephants are resolving some of their differences. The geese are hardly bothered by the towering presence of two 5-ton males engaged in a mini power struggle. They will have been doing this sort of thing for 20 years, since they left their mother's sides. But now, in their early 30s, such power struggles begin to take on a new meaning. Both elephants are approaching peak sexual and physical condition, and this means they can start competing seriously for females. These trials of strength are the male elephant's way of rising up through the ranks. Age and size are the key to mating success, and in the absence of females, as here, these heavyweight squabbles last for hours, even days. At last, one of them is backing down. But not quite far enough to prevent the stronger bull pushing home his narrow advantage. It's all over, at least for the time being, and the dominance of the winning bull is also respected by two other males of the lagoon. Because bulls do not stay in fixed herds, displays of strength are necessary to maintain order between strangers. Senior bulls may enjoy the best feeding, drinking and bathing, keeping them in peak physical condition, an important factor when it comes to winning females. Drinking is made easy with the trunk. The combined nose and upper lip stretches out more than 2 meters from the elephant's mouth and sucks up 30 liters in one go. Compare this to the giraffe, the tallest land mammal, whose head must somehow be lowered 5.5 meters to the water. The knob-billed geese take no notice of the world's heaviest and the world's tallest land mammals. They have their own private lives, and the males, those with the leathery lump on their beaks, are just beginning their own battles for females. mate with several females. A loser just might have to move on and try his luck elsewhere. Flight gives birds the freedom to cross difficult, waterlogged country quickly. But elephants have to walk all the way. No easy task for a mammal that can weigh more than 6 tons and might walk 150,000 kilometers during its life. That's about 4 times round the world. Progress is slow but steady. Bachelor herds vary in number. Bulls may wander alone, or more typically in groups of up to 15. Just occasionally, they come together in huge numbers, with perhaps 150 of them ranging across the bush. Grass is one of their favorite foods. Each bull needs to eat between 150 and 200 kilos of vegetation every day. The carmine bee-eater, a colourful 30-centimetre long insect eater that also likes open grassland. In the absence of ready perches, what better than to hitch a ride on the back of a passing Koori bustard? From here, the bee-eaters can make short excursions to snap up insects, particularly those disturbed by the bustard's own heavy feet. As the sun sets across the African bush, many animals will retire for a long night's sleep. Elephants are an exception. Feeding, drinking, and keeping cool are time-consuming, so they are active for most of the 24-hour day. 3 or 4 hours sleep is all they need. Evening is a favorite time to visit water, an opportunity to socialize, cool down, and quench the thirst of a long, dusty day. It is not unusual for unrelated male elephants to form strong pair bonds. A young male will attach himself to a middle-ranking male, and while the two may still form part of a bachelor herd, they will often feed and drink some distance from the main group. The evening visit to water is only a short lull in their feeding. They must keep eating to make up for their inability to digest the large amount of cellulose fiber found in plants. As much as 1/3 of what they eat passes through them undigested. So they feed for 16 hours a day, packing all that vegetation into their enormous bodies. The African night is full of predators, particularly lions. But large bull elephants are safe. For them, night feeding is not a problem. An elephant's eyesight, which is not good at the best of times, is of little use in the dark. Instead, they feed and communicate with their phenomenal smell, touch, and hearing, emitting a range of sounds which can carry for many kilometers in the night air. If the elephants managed any sleep, it will probably have been taken standing up. One of the bulls carries a healed wound to its leg. As a calf, such an injury could have been fatal, leaving it open to attack from lions or hyenas. But now the handicap is not so much of a problem, and the leisurely pace of the herd enables it to keep up. A tree squirrel, for whom predators are a major problem throughout its life. There are birds of prey in the air and snakes in the trees. There are also snakes on the ground, where the squirrels venture to pick up fallen seeds, dig up roots, and search for small insects. Theirs is a frantic life of burning and replacing energy from dawn till dusk. And the puff adder is hungry. Down on the ground, the squirrel's vision is partially obscured as it forages among the dead leaves and grasses. The meter-long snake is highly venomous. One bite means death. As it slides closer and more slowly, it is almost walking on the ribs inside its scaly skin. Now it is tasting the air with its tongue, picking up chemical signals that tell it where and how far to its prey. But the squirrel is part of a team. Denied by the cooperative work of the squirrels, the puff adder retires to the shade. It will overheat in the sun, and it needs to cool down. The elephant's trunk is one of the most versatile organs in the animal kingdom. It does not contain a single bone, but 6 pairs of major muscles are subdivided more than 100,000 times to give it brute strength and fingertip control. The trunk compensates for the elephant's huge, inflexible bulk, performing a whole range of daily tasks. Among these is gathering food. Elephants prefer to feed close to the ground, plucking grasses and small bushes without much effort. But during the dry season, the only worthwhile greenery is high up on the trees, and this is when 2 meters of trunk proves its worth. These leaves are 6 meters off the ground, well out of reach to even the tallest giraffe, and yet the elephant soon gathers them in, despite the extra bit of effort required. During its 65 years, a bull elephant will pack more than 3,000 tons of plant food into its mouth. This places an enormous burden on its teeth, which have to last all this time. 2 of the grinding molars are just visible either side of the elephant's fleshy tongue. There's something special about an elephant's teeth. Instead of 24 being housed inside its jaws at the same time, they appear in sets of 4, one after the other, with each set being bigger and harder wearing than the set it replaces. To keep up with an elephant's growth rate, the first 4 sets of teeth are replaced by the time it is 25, the 5th by 43. Then the massive 6th and final molars, each of them 20 centimeters long, 7 centimeters wide, and weighing 4 kilos, carry the elephant through the last 20 years of its life. Tusks are also teeth, modified incisors which grow throughout life and are never replaced. In a big bull, they may be at least 2 meters long and weigh 80 kilos. The sound of breaking branches has attracted the attention of another bull elephant. It is a good way for them to keep in touch as they spread out across the bush to feed. But they also communicate in a more subtle way, with calls of low frequency that humans cannot hear. This infrasound was identified as a vital part of elephant vocalization only in the 1980s. Low-frequency sounds travel through thick bush better than high-frequency ones. And with these, elephants can coordinate their movements and respond to each other's needs, even when they are many kilometers apart. Elephants can be very destructive, but the trees around them fight back as best they can. Some grow again very quickly, and some fill their leaves with nasty-tasting chemicals, such as tannins. Others, like acacias, grow a formidable array of spikes to protect their young succulent leaves from being overbrowsed. With its defensive network of spikes, an acacia becomes a living fortress, and many small animals seek the protection of its branches. They, in turn, are followed by their predators. The black mamba is one of these. One of Africa's most venomous snakes, this tree-loving cobra slides its 4-meter body between the spikes with ease. Like the puff adder closing in on the squirrel, the mamba also uses its tongue to gather airborne chemicals. As the tongue flicks in and out, the chemicals are transferred to a sensitive spot inside its mouth, Jacobson's organ, which deciphers them and triggers a response: keep moving forwards or go and search elsewhere. Elsewhere might be a good idea. Giraffes love to eat acacia leaves, and they are not to be put off by snakes, however venomous. The giraffe can stretch its head out in a straight line from its neck, allowing it to feed deep inside the thorny acacia. Its 40-centimeter long tongue wraps itself round the leaves, and its lips are so leathery and strong that they barely notice the sharp thorns. The mamba is caught between attack and escape. It cannot eat the giraffe, and to use its venom unnecessarily would be wasteful. Its best option is to take advantage of the giraffe's busy feeding and make an ungainly but effective exit to another tree. Being the tallest land mammal has its advantages. Giraffes can reach 5.5 meters into the branches, way beyond all other browsers, except, of course, the elephant. Their young are so vulnerable to lions, hyenas, leopards, and even crocodiles that more than half of them will be eaten during their first year. The survivors learn to feed on the lower branches, but because these leaves are also eaten by antelopes, they will need their mother's milk for at least a year. It will be a further 10 years before they reach their full adult height and are feeding in a world that is virtually their own. Another type of acacia protects its leaves by growing to 15 meters, placing them well out of reach of the tallest giraffe and elephant. But baboons are expert climbers, and height is not a problem. They are here, though, not to eat leaves, but to cash in on the acacia's dry season production of seeds. The acacia produces thousands of seeds in fleshy pods all at the same time, thus guaranteeing that they will not all be eaten. For the baboons, it is a yearly harvest not to be missed. Well out of reach of their ground-living predators, they fill their stomachs. It is raining acacia seeds, and one mother and her youngster find plenty to eat on the ground. They could be vulnerable down here. The baboons above them are noisy and can be seen from a long way off. There is no need to fight or pull rank over this food. There is plenty for everyone. But even so, being stuck up a tree can have its drawbacks. The approach of a predator is in fact something baboons are quite used to. They feed out in the open, down on the ground for much of their lives, surrounded by lions, leopards, hyenas and jackals, all of whom would attack if they had the chance. But this they rarely do. Male baboons with their powerful jaws and 5-centimeter canine teeth are both quick and determined. The lioness's sudden change in pace is alarming. She's too close and the baboons are nervous. To make matters worse, she's settled down right beneath them, and worse still, she's not alone. But the lions, it seems, have something on their minds other than eating baboons. But it is not just lions with mating on their minds. A bull elephant in peak condition is also ready. He may not be the most senior of the bachelors in the neighborhood, but he has one clear advantage. He is in must. His blood is full of the male hormone testosterone. Nearby, the matriarch of a female herd is aware of his condition. One of her cows is also ready to mate, and as the fertile period for females lasts only a few days, it is important for her to mate quickly. The bull tests the air for the whereabouts of the cow in estrus. He will also have been in touch by sound, emitting low rumbles and responding to special calls made by females at this particular time. Testosterone gives him the edge over his fellow bachelors. The hormone makes him aggressive and potent, and he will fight more seriously than if he were not in must. The matriarch knows this, and if the bull is not challenged by another bull also in must, she will tolerate his advances to her receptive female. For the male, the period of must may last for weeks or months, depending on his condition and seniority. It singles him out from other bulls, and this is to the female elephant's advantage. It guarantees a strong, healthy father and reduces time-wasting male competition during the short period that she is receptive. He follows the female herd at a short distance, both parties continuing to use sound and smell to confirm their positions. He will be wary of other bulls in must. He could still be challenged by one of them, although it is now likely that his pungent trail of urine and special calls have established that there are no serious rivals nearby. A sticky liquid oozes from the temporal gland behind his eye, and the insides of his back legs are stained with urine. Now he takes his position at the back of the herd. The receptive female is immediately in front of him, and she will be giving off the smells and sounds that confirm that she is the female ready to mate. The matriarch strides on as the two begin their close encounter. He stops frequently to smell her urine, placing his trunk tip inside his mouth where a special receptor detects the balance of her hormones. The male has been through all of this before. He is now well over 40, and he came into must for the first time a good 10 or 15 years ago. But at that time, his periods of must were short and induced only by the close physical presence of cow elephants. And even then, he may not have mated with any of them. But now things are different. He is well on the way to becoming a senior bull commanding a top position in the bachelor hierarchy. His yearly condition of must is synchronized with the seasons, and it lasts long enough for him to mate several times. Driven by the overriding instinct to father yet more baby elephants, the bull continues with his slow pursuit. It is possible that the receptive female in the herd is the matriarch's own daughter, giving them both a strong genetic interest in the quality of the following male. While a male elephant produces millions of viable sperm every day, a mature female produces just one valuable egg every few months until she becomes pregnant. After that, the demands of childcare mean that she will not ovulate again for at least 3 years. The bigger, the stronger, and the more determined the bull, the better the future baby will be. The matriarch leads the herd out of the forest and onto an open plain. Elephant emotions are beginning to run high. Females cooperate to raise their young, and now that one more of these priceless individuals is about to be conceived, they all seem to have a sense of occasion, triggered, no doubt, by the approaching bull. When everything is right, the bull makes his final move. Copulation lasts for less than a minute, but during this brief time enough sperm is transferred for the female's egg to be fertilized. As a safeguard, though, the bull will stay close by for several days, even mating again until the female is no longer receptive. It is not in either of their interests for a low-ranking bull to have access to her at such a critical time. Finally, the female herd returns to normal and continues on its way. The bull, more or less assured of his paternity, sets off alone. He may even start to come out of must, in which case he will mix more willingly with other bulls. He is no longer a threat to them, nor will he be challenged by them. A male elephant needs to be in really good condition to sustain a prolonged must, and a high-ranking bull who has had access to the best feeding will manage this better than his juniors. But the state of must is costly. In his high excitement, his roving search for females and his struggles with other males, he seems to lose his appetite. His condition deteriorates. The testosterone in his blood fades away, and he, in short, becomes a more sedentary and social animal in need of extensive rest and feeding. It may take him months to recover from his exertions. But mating is what a bull elephant lives for. His role is to provide sperm to females he is not closely related to. This produces healthy young. But to be successful, then these too must live long enough to have their own babies. This reproductive success is as important to elephants as it is to other animals within their empire. A lioness has mated with the males that killed her cubs. Now she raises their cubs under their protection. When her original cubs were killed, she was willing to mate with the strangers very quickly. But By holding back her eggs for several months, she was effectively saying to the males, "If you do not stay and settle into the new territory, you will not father any of my babies." A big male baboon defends the females and all the babies in a troop, even those which are not his. Female baboons are a bit promiscuous, and the males get round the guessing game by protecting all of the young. The first wildebeest of the year will never know its own father. Its chances of survival depend on lots of other babies being born at the same time, giving it a degree of safety in numbers from predators. Some females are pregnant for a long time, and their individual young are very precious. A giraffe carries her baby for 14 months, and although she guards it fiercely, it may easily be killed during its first year. It is the elephant that has the longest pregnancy. After a successful mating with the lone bull, the pregnant female will carry her developing calf for 22 months, almost 2 whole years. Then it will take the collective experience of several females to steer it through at least the first 10 years of its life. If it is a young female, it will stay with the herd, soon to mate with its first visiting bull. But if it is a young male, it will be expelled as soon as it is sexually mature to prevent it mating with its sisters and female cousins. Take a further 20 years of wandering before the bull is big and strong enough to sustain the condition of must so respected by other males and so desired by females. Now, after 30 years of mating, an old bull is close to the end. Flanked by 2 junior bulls who will soon desert him, the ravages of time are all too apparent. He is blind in one eye, one tusk is missing, and his skin is thin as parchment. His 6th and final set of molars has worn completely away, and now he can chew only the softest grass. But the 65-year-old bull will have had a successful life, fathering up to 50 new baby elephants, many of whom will have lived to breed themselves. His imminent death will be from natural causes, a rare achievement for an elephant in Africa today. All that remains is for him to walk on into that final sunset.